All right, we are live. Good evening, everybody. Good evening out there in TV land, radio land. Yep, I'm that old. How y'all doing tonight on this Sunday evening? It's your girl, Latanya Harris. Good and just call me LHG. Coming to you for part 2 of our critical conversation series on childhood trauma. I am your hostess, and I have along with me tonight, y'all better get ready, get y'all some water, get y'all some tea, get y'all burners or whatever beverage that you need for tonight, because we are coming out, with the real deal tonight. So I want to introduce you to 2 of my sisters. Get you some sisters that can roll with you intellectually and can ha kiki with you also. Get you those kind of sisters, because we can do it all. We can get serious, we can laugh, we can do all that. Get you a community of women that don't shy away from the real life issues that we deal with on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. Because I value sisterhood. I value these young women because they didn't have to come on tonight and grace us with their presence. I also want to thank you, our viewing audience. I am so excited to be a part of the Trailblazers family, and we're going to get started. Latanya Peterson is my sister, y'all. She is someone I met through Facebook. Facebook has some good qualities, y'all. It ain't, it ain't all bad, y'all. Don't down Facebook too bad, because I met some really good people this way. This girl is a firecracker. No nonsense, no flim flam, no shimmy sham. She holds no punches. Listen, she's my sister, my prayer partner. Her name is Latanya Peterson. Y'all give her a hand and wave at her. Woo! And on the bottom of the screen, let me tell you, middle school, right, Patricia?
Yes. Oh my goodness, girl.
What, 1872? Or 47 years ago?
Somewhere around 72, 73.
So, listen, Lovington Magnet Middle School. Don't play.
Yes.
We had the cheese bus to take us to school, baby. This was serious.
Oh, no.
This was serious. And what was so funny in school, Patricia, you were quiet too.
Yeah.
But when you did open your mouth, though, when you did say something, it was something to be said. Let me just put that out there like that. Mm-hmm. You was quiet, but when it was time to speak, you let them know. Oh, I know this. Listen here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't play. Quiet storm.
That's who I tend to be. Yeah.
And people think that quiet people are all pushovers and punks. Oh, no, baby, they watching you.
Yeah, it's always
watching you. And I want to thank y'all. And both of you are also a part of the Shades of Chocolate Sisterhood on Facebook. And I want to thank you all for just rocking with me no matter what I'm doing. I can always count on my girls to hang with me. Tonight, y'all, I want to give you a brief recap of last week's show. We had some technical difficulties, so I want to do a recap. But first, do y'all mind if I talk to the Lord real quick about tonight and do a little prayer?
Go ahead.
Let me talk to him because he at the door. Father, in the name of Jesus, I thank you for another opportunity to come before you and before the people, along with my sisters, to shed light upon a matter of great importance. God, we ask you to manifest yourself in this show, bring healing, bring deliverance, set us free from stuff that has held us bound for decades. Set us free for the issues that have made us feel like we wasn't even human. Set us free from the shame and the guilt and the judgment from stuff that ain't even our fault. We're going to talk about it tonight. And I put on my good brassiere, God, because I want to look good for you, Jesus. So come on in here. In Jesus' name, amen. Yes, she did.
Amen. Amen.
She put on her good support.
Yes.
Listen.
What in the world?
Listen, it's that kind of show.
It's okay.
Yes.
It's okay. You gotta warn me because I was like in the middle of prayer, like, what?
Listen, me and the Lord, we talk real like that.
Okay,
And I got my water and I got my lotion because I don't want y'all to come in here unmoisturized, ashy, and
Ashy.
You better talk about
don't do it.
Don't come
Don't
here
do it.
ashy. Mhm.
We got hydration and critical conversation. Okay.
That's all right.
So just to let y'all know, for those of you out there who didn't see last week's show, I kind of explained a little bit about why am I here? Why me and why am I doing this? At 47 years old, I found out that I was dealing with some issues that have happened to me many years ago. I'm talking decades. And when you go back, for those of you who were born in the 70s and maybe even before, there really was no, excuse me, mom, can I have some therapy? And do you want to go too? You didn't do that. And many parents, especially in the religious community, were not equipped or didn't care or didn't understand the signs of a traumatized child. And it went all the way back to, divorces and moving from place to place and not knowing where you belong. And then when there's a divorce and a remarriage, new families arise. And you got this side of the family, you got this side, and you're like, where do I fit?
Yeah.
Who do I belong to? And is it my fault that they couldn't stay together? I mean, we're talking about a child's mind, y'all. So these are the things that some children think about. It's not just you parents going through the divorce, especially a tumultuous one where there's a parent against the other parent and you pulling them and you're arguing and you saying bad stuff about each other, and the child is forced to, well, whose side am I gonna go on? Who do I believe and who do I ignore? Because it's a little difficult. And then you get new people introduced to it. You get step parents and the whole blended family dynamic. And let me just say this to people who are divorced and you decide to date and or remarry. Make sure that person accepts your children. Let's just start. Go ahead, Tanya. Just jump in.
Or be careful.
Okay.
Even though both of my parents was remarried, I mean, neither one of them was married to each other. Let me just start there.
Okay.
But both of them was married to different people.
Okay.
My daddy was married 5 times.
Wow. Okay.
The first one he was married to 2 different times, 2 different times, and 1 another time.
Okay.
And out these ladies, I had to fit in somewhere.
Right.
And with some of them having children, it was some favoritism. So we have to watch that too. Let's talk about that.
And that's a part of trauma too. A whole nother dimension of trauma, because you are introduced to people in a family that may not accept you. And it made me think about my godmother, and she was born in a time where there was a lot of colorism.
Right.
So everybody else was fair skinned, light skinned, and she was the only dark child. There was blatant, the treatment was different.
That was
right.
That
was you too, sis? Oh,
I was the darkest child of my mother's children.
Okay.
And I was in a car accident, and I spent a lot of time in the hospital, 6 months in the hospital. Mm-hmm. And when I returned to school, I had to wear bandages on my face.
Okay.
And the children were cruel. So keep in mind, I was already dark-skinned. I was about a pencil stick thin.
Okay.
And after these bandages came off my face, I have a scar to still prove it. But after these bandages and things came off my face, I had to wear a lot of dressings, like skin like Vaseline and ointments on my face so that my face can heal. And I had to go through a series of skin grafts and things of that nature. So imagine the trauma that I went through.
Yes.
But also I had stepsister in the same thing. And my daddy and her mom was married. So she spent more time with my father than I did. So there was a lot of favoritism that was going on in the household. So we have to be careful when it comes to blending other families and children.
That's true. And we have to be mindful and considerate of all parties involved. And that brings up another question. And Patricia, and jump in, and I want your take on this. When you are dating, how important is it to consider that even in the dating stages? What you thinking, Patricia?
So I chose not to date when I had my kids when they were little.
Okay.
Because I was molested as a child.
Wow.
And that trauma outweighed any need for affection that I needed.
Wow.
The protection of my kids.
Yes.
And there's too many pedophiles out there.
Yes.
And not just pedophiles, but also people who are just crazy, for lack of a better word.
Right.
Who are just out there literally as predators for your kids, to beat them up, to kill them. Is just too much happening.
Right.
So until they got to the age where they could tell me, you know, this person is a bad person, which, you know, that means double digits at that point. I didn't date. And I made it, and also because I came out of a traumatic marriage, and I didn't feel like I learned my lesson from that marriage, because there was a reason, and it took two people to screw that marriage up, right?
Right.
Because he is a narcissist. But why did I choose a narcissist? And until I could answer that question, I didn't trust myself dating.
Wow.
Because I didn't want to repeat that cycle. I recognized it as a cycle. And I was like, I'm not going to choose my father and brother all over again. Why would I do that? I did it once. And you know, so, but when I did start dating, I was mindful just of watching my kids' reactions.
Okay.
They were always first.
Okay.
Always first. And I only literally dated like one person. I mean, I dated more, but like seriously dated one person. And then I was bored with it, honestly, at that point, you know, because I mean, I just I enjoyed raising my kids so much.
Right.
I really did. And they only had like a second of childhood. I have the rest of my life to date.
Right. That's true. That's a good point. That's a good point.
I'm looking at like my youngest is 20. When did that happen? Like, what? I'm looking at her like, hold up. Wait, you how old? Wait, what's going on? You was just a baby like yesterday. So I figured, well, shoot, I can wait.
Right.
And have a life after. I'm not old. I ain't decrepit. I can still go out there and flirt with the best of them. Y'all should see.
Well, you better talk about it.
I'm going to tell you something. One day, I'm going to show you. I'm just going to record it. Because I embarrass all my friends. The last time a cop pulled me over, I flirted my way out of a ticket.
Oh, Patricia.
And he was cute. I'm not saying
you still got it.
I'm just trying to tell you, he was cute. But but I am a natural flirt anyway, so I have some confidence in my skills. But I just didn't need that bad where the kids needed to be victims of somebody stupid.
But you said something that was so important. Let's go back a little bit. Many times our choices of who we date can be a direct, correlation from what we dealt with in the past.
It's most definitely.
So
I definitely knew who I chose.
You're gonna want somebody all the time. Yeah. So when I was growing up as a baby, and let me just give this disclaimer. This show is not to shame anybody or blame anybody. It just is what it is. So please know, for those who are going to watch this and those who know me, know my family, it is what it is. Okay. I love my mom. I love my father. I love my deceased stepfather. But we're talking about what was. I'm even talking about myself as a parent. So ain't no shame. It is what it is. But as a child, I remember noticing there was a need to be with someone.
Yes.
Like she wasn't necessarily happy until there was someone. And certain things can happen in your life that make you need validation, comfort from a man. But you might know that's not the right man, but yet it's a man.
But
right.
Can I intercede? And,
yeah. Go ahead, Tanya.
And with me, it was just the opposite.
Okay.
Okay.
And just like you said, this is not to shame anybody because I love my parents. I love my step parents. But watching my father in his relationship, baby, 5 marriages. And it ain't worked yet.
Right.
And watching the men of my family.
Okay.
Yes.
So when it came to raising my children, and I have 3 boys and 1 girl.
Okay.
To raising them, I can really count the number of relationships.
Yes.
Some was failed. Well, all of them was failed, but I'm currently dating again. Yeah, and we're gonna talk about this a little bit on.
Let me get a sip. Let me take a drink on that.
You need some water. But
however, wait now.
However,
slide right past that one.
No, I'm gonna come back to it because it all ties in on with this. However, when it comes to dating, I'm real cautious on who I bring around my children.
Right.
And I was with a guy for my youngest son is 17 now. And I was with him for like 13 years.
Wow.
You can be the perfect father figure, but not the perfect man for a person.
Okay.
Come on.
Let's talk about that.
Come on.
He did nothing wrong to the children. But if you're not in a healthy relationship with the mother, it's worse than not being good to the children. That's even more traumatizing to the children.
Yeah.
Say that again.
So let's talk about the secondhand effects. Just like secondhand smoke.
Yeah.
Come on.
Effects in being in a dysfunctional relationship.
Yes.
And if you notice, I'm gonna be creating some words, but I'm gonna break it down so everybody can understand.
That's all right, girl.
Because I'm creating my own dictionary one of these days. But
all right.
I like that.
In reality, I'm serious, but the long-term effects, and as a young parent, I'm 40. Okay. My oldest son is 25.
Okay.
And just as this year, I had to reevaluate and sit down and have some talk with my 2 oldest children because I had my first child when I was 14. Okay. And the things I do with my youngest 2 children, I didn't do with my oldest 2 because I was a child raising a child and I still had childhood trauma because I was a little girl raising a baby. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I was not in the healing processes. And when we talk to our kids and we trying to teach them not to have unhealthy relationship, we have to teach them how to heal. And then in teaching them how to heal, we have to heal with them. Yes. And the first thing we got to do, parents, I hope y'all watch this and don't speed past this when y'all watch this because y'all need to get this what I'm saying.
That's right.
This ain't for nobody. Well, this is for y'all. So I love y'all still the same after I say this. But this is going to be hard.
Come on.
We as parents need to shut up and listen. I'm going to say it again. We as parents have to shut up and listen to what our kids are saying. Just because we are their parents, we need to listen to them. We're not all the time.
That's good, Latanya.
That's hard.
I had to get it myself.
That's hard.
I had to get it myself.
That's hard.
I said it. Woo! I said a mouthful. And and it took me to this year. My son's 25. You know what I'm saying? So his healing had to take place. And I'm happy to say my son, he's still healing. And, it's a healing process. Yeah. But he's a happily married man now with his own family. You see what I'm saying? But if he had not healed or began the healing process, things would have still continued to go on. That's why generational curses continue to happen because we never heal, and we go on to cover it up and continue to cover it up, and we don't talk about it. We always try to sweep it up on the rug. Here, I'm here to talk about it.
Right.
I'm here for all this.
Right.
And that's so true. You just really have to put your ego aside and really just listen.
Yes.
And that's hard. That's hard because we come from a culture that is very famous for not listening.
Yes.
And you know, sometimes our children gonna say, you might have to bite your tongue on this, but we really have to listen. Because our kids gonna say, we ask our kids to say what's on their mind. But we do. They say something we don't like, we tend to want to shut them up.
Yeah.
Come on.
You need to shut up and listen. Because they can be saying something to save your life.
Yes.
Ooh. Wait, say it again now. Somebody write that down.
Sometimes we have to listen. Not sometimes, all the time. We need to shut up and listen because they can be saying something to save our lives.
Children are wise.
Oh, behind your ear.
That, since it's Sunday, I'm gonna give y'all something from the Bible. I'm gonna give y'all a little tip. I'm not sure, but it's in the Bible. I'm quite sure it is. Research. This is a good time for y'all to read y'all Bible today. It tells. I'm going here. So you invited me, so you said critical conversation because I'm not.
Let's have it.
It tells us parents in the Bible not to provoke our children, but we don't like to read that. We only want to read children shall obey their parents because it is right. But we don't want to read the part where it tells us not to provoke our children. Let's talk about that.
Come on, preach tonight.
Right,
preach tonight. But then we don't even want to. Here's the thing. You have to be able to listen to your child without automatically jumping into disrespectful and child should be seen and not heard. You got to come beyond that. And I remember growing up, that's kind of how it was. If you were to speak, it was an automatic backhand slap in the mouth.
Automatic.
Because people refuse to have a conversation with a child. Why?
Automatic.
And you know what? Because the truth was being exposed. And like I said before, I'm the first one to have to admit the teaching I give my youngest two is not what the oldest two got. I was one to use whoopings and to shut up. You a kid. You don't know what you're talking about.
That's real talk.
I was wrong. Real. And my kids, my two oldest ones probably looking like, yeah, she finally admitted she was wrong. And that's part of healing as a person.
Yes, Tanya.
And the first thing we got to admit is that we wrong.
Come on.
How can you grow if you can acknowledge when you're not wrong?
And I have to say, like, just along the same lines, there is a place for quiet with youth.
Yes.
There's a balance. And I say that cautiously because as a youth, I didn't want to be quiet. And so my mom would always say, it's okay to not speak and just listen. She wouldn't always shut me down. It was my other relatives who would do that. But she would always say, it's okay to just listen. And that was her way of saying, I'm trying to tell you something. Right. Shut up. But she didn't say it like that. She was just trying to tell me, maybe you can learn from my experiences. Right. If you just listen. So I tell my kids, I've got 5. And I call them kids, but they're all fully grown in their own way. And I have 4 boys and a girl, so I'm a lot like you.
Bless your heart.
Girl, and the girl is the youngest. And I say that because birth order really means a thing in my house. Because she was definitely the golden child. Because he's the only girl. What am I gonna do, y'all? I was the youngest and I was a girl, so I don't know. I just like, she's here. It's over for the rest of y'all. But I tell them still to this day because I remember how hard it was for me to listen. As a young, you just, man, you're young. What they know? What they know?
Right.
You know,
that's it. Exactly. Right.
We all did that. Hard-headed. What they say? Hard head make for a soft rear end.
Yes.
That was me, right? And I told them actually today, I said, I understand that you're young and you feel invincible. Because I did. I was young and invincible. And I always say to them, there is nothing you can do that I haven't thought about, seen, done, and it doesn't diminish your experience, but just I know you're gonna have to do it anyway.
Right.
But I just really would not like for you to run into that brick wall.
Yes.
If you can.
And you
have to make a space in the time when you're raising kids to listen. We had family meetings. We had regular family
I love
meetings.
that, Patricia. I love that.
And that started when they were little. Like
that's
tiny.
Good.
And I don't know if they felt safe because I'm the parent and that's a different role. And they express that sometimes, like, yeah, but you was my mama sitting there. I ain't gonna tell you everything.
Right.
And, that's smart. Don't do that. Don't tell me everything. Keep some of that to yourself, But we could at least talk about family dynamics and how the routine was gonna go that day. And I have a few children who are neurodivergent.
Okay.
And basically that means that one's on the spectrum and I'm pretty sure I am. But there's ADHD and anxiety and depression. And so those things, I really had to keep a very serious routine.
Yes.
And if that was going to change, I had to be like, okay, y'all, this is what's going to happen.
Right.
Let's talk about this.
Let's talk about
are
it.
you having?
You might be my cousin. Because I grew up.
Girl, we all related.
Right. We all related.
We related. And that came from me never having a space to talk. Nobody made a space in my life to hear me. And here's the problem. I just saw this meme on Facebook. I was, like LaTanya said, I was quiet, but I wasn't quiet because I was healthy. I was quiet because I was clinically depressed as a kid. Like, no one talked to me. I was the baby of the family. I was quiet. They pushed me to the side. And literally, like my cousins will say, I thought you were good. I was like, I really was not good. So
I wasn't either.
Girl, see what I'm saying? And
I
so
wasn't good.
When you make a space and they can talk and they can express themselves, and even if it's not talking, kids are amazing with like drawing and creating. Yeah. There's music. My kids are all musicians or singers. There's always something because they have no filters anyway. They go and express how they feel. You just have to actually be present in the moment. Right. And like my other sister, LaTanya, said over here, Miss Peterson, she said, you have to be able to not jump to shut up.
Yes.
More.
Yes.
And that's hard for a parent because
it is very hard.
You do sometimes know more. I often used to tell the kids, I know what's around the corner. I can see God literally gives me prophetic dreams about their future. I know what's going to happen to you.
Wow.
But you're not hearing me. But then I'm like, well, maybe they ain't supposed to.
Wow.
Maybe they're not supposed to. Maybe the Lord told me so I'd be prepared.
And I think an issue with today's youth is that they're not given a space or a time to properly express themselves without being judged.
Oh, girl.
Right. That's true. That's true.
So
because I'm gonna go back to me. When I was growing up, I was always the black sheep of the family. Or I'm gonna go on further. I can remember my brother. I had two brothers to get murdered. My oldest brother.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
My oldest. Sorry. Thank you, ladies. But my oldest brother, I can remember when he got killed. I was trying to explain to my mama when she got home when this was going on, that I was the one that answered the door when the guys came and told me that my brother was deceased. What? And I was trying to explain to her as a child what was going on. Well, her sister and her brother told me I need to shut up and stay in the child place. When I'm giving my mama valuable information, it goes on further.
Jesus.
As a 12-year-old child, I can remember being slapped in my mouth because I was talking too much. And then I can remember saying
me too.
That because she's so disrespectful, I'm not never coming over here until she moved out the house. And you know what? They did not come and visit my mama until I got grown and moved out.
Wow.
But you bring up a good point, LaTanya. Here's the thing. Let's go back to our childhoods for a minute. When you have that child that and both of you are on two opposite ends. You got Patricia, who may not have said much. You got LaTanya, who was talkative, but who's paying attention? And so before you look at a talkative child and label her, because I was labeled disrespectful, a bad child. And even our church people, because I was deeply rooted in church growing up.
It is. Yeah,
deeply rooted. And they recognize something's not right here. And they would tell my mom, she's not bad. She just talkative. She your child. And so when if the mama has a voice and is outspoken and extroverted and talkative and communicative, it could be that the child is just like that.
Right.
I have two parents who are very great speakers, very intelligent. They have great conversation and can hold any kind of conversation. So it wasn't that I wanted to be disrespectful. I really was trying to say, hi, I'm here. And I know that when you come home from work, you're tired, because she had a very stressful job. And let me say this, and I thank her for travailing and working the way she did to provide for us.
Yes.
And a lot of the stress that she brought home came from the employer.
Definitely.
So some of this trauma, y'all, ain't the parents' fault.
Right.
Some of it came from either their own childhood, workplace trauma, because back in that day, my mother was fighting tooth and nail as a Black woman.
Girl, say it.
To hold a job where her Caucasian, counterparts were getting the promotions, but behind the scenes, it was a Milli Vanilli. Yep. They were getting the accolades and the credit, but it was my mom who was doing the projects at 2:00 in the morning and typing stuff up and printing stuff out, but they would get the credit. We're talking 40 years ago. And a lot of it has not changed today.
Exactly.
And I go to work and I come home stressed and my baby gets the brunt of it. It's the same principle. I'm tired of having to prove myself and do double the work because I'm a Black woman. I'm Black and I'm a woman. And so I have to do, double to just get the foundational performance review.
Right.
So some of this trauma maybe comes from other outlets, and some of it is not avoidable. It just happens to be what it is. Then what about that mom that is a single mom and gets two jobs and they get home are by themselves, and big brother has to become dad to little brother, so he doesn't get a childhood. Right. That child right there. There is no childhood for big brother because he got to make the dinner. He got to make sure baby brother gets cleaned up and ready for school. But I can't blame mama for working because she got to feed the kids.
Right.
Right. So that's sort of kind of my situation. I pretty much been a single mother. 4 children. I had my first one at 14, 16, 21, and 23. Now I'm on the last one. We're going to all rejoice and celebrate next year.
Yes, honey.
He'll be 18. He graduating. This the last one. So I'm going to send y'all invites. Please.
I want to be there.
Yes.
I feel that. I feel it in my heart.
And I was a dropout, and I decided to go back and further my education. I went back.
I
got my GED in 2010. To remind you, I was working 2 jobs, Burger King and McDonald's in 2010. Right. I continued to work Burger King and McDonald's. I went back to college, got my first 2 degrees. Wow. I ended up, this all while raising kids, with a child that had ADHD, ODD. One that was just sleep. One had severe asthma. So I had a lot going on, but it was all me by myself. You know, when kids don't want to act right. But then also, we're going to bring it home. Now I'm in a management position. I hold 5 degrees. I'm still that single parent. Now the kids are older. People think you just need a babysitter when your kids are young. No, you need a babysitter. You need a babysitter. So this is a sidebar. I'm gonna give y'all some free game for parents that don't know, that don't want to get no babysitter. Get y'all Ring camera for the inside of y'all home. Let them teens be great, but be watching from your job. And so hire no babysitter. Let's talk about that.
That's real talk.
But on the real though, For real, I am that single parent. I work 2 to 3 jobs.
Yes.
I held it down by myself. My youngest son is in his last year of high school. I work anywhere from 12 to 16 hours every day. And except for on a Sunday, because my Sunday is dedicated to church, family, and making memories. Period.
Nice.
No exception.
Nice.
Because if we don't stand for something, we're going to fall for anything. This right here is considered making a memory. So this all falls in my plan. But what I'm saying to you is, imagine what I go through. And some nights, depending on your position, where you work at, and then I'm a chaplain. Also, I'm a chaplain and a minister. So
okay.
I get a call in the middle of the night. Guess who got to get up and go?
Sis.
Guess who get up and go?
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
But what I do is I don't take work. I don't bring work home.
Okay.
And I don't take home to work.
Okay.
Okay.
And let me give y'all some
smart. That's
about
smart.
Me.
Very smart.
Prayer is the key.
Yes.
To everything.
Yes, it is.
I sit outside in my van for 30 to 45 minutes sometimes before I come in, because sometimes my burden is
yes. Yes.
And you don't want to bring the debris in your house with you, because it is residue when you get off work.
Come on, residue. Yes.
And STDs is real. And I'm not talking about sexually transmitted disease. I'm talking about spiritually transmitted disease.
Well, come on.
Yeah.
So you got to get it together before you bring it in, because your kids, your children, no matter if they 0 to 50 years old, know when something is wrong with you.
They'll find
and
that
they
energy.
feed off your energy.
Yeah.
So we can't. We gotta.
And that's a good point, because I can remember my dating life, y'all. And let me just be extremely transparent. Going from what I saw growing up and what society seems to feed us is that you're almost half a woman without a man.
Yeah.
Same thing about motherhood. You're not even a full-blown woman if you ain't had a kid. Yeah, it's just certain stigmas out there. Big. So in my adulthood and trying to date, and I tried to do it the right way, having a daughter, and I will say, don't assume that because your child's small and acting like they sleep, they know who in their house.
Yeah.
You better talk about it.
They know what's going on. Kids is young, they not stupid.
Thank you.
They listen when the door open and then when the door shut and when that car crank on and somebody pulling out, they know.
Yep. And when you on the phone too.
All of it.
They are
all of it.
Sponges. They are absorbing all of that. So my daughter told me at one point, she was like, "Mama, I just want you to be happy." And she's kind of was saying, if your happiness lies with doing this or getting somebody else, however you get it, Mama. And that hit me hard, because I had to admit, when the relationship wasn't right, my spirit was like, I can't even keep a dude. And I was bringing some of that frustration to my child.
And that's true too. Sister Latanya, I told you about this. I kind of gave you an overview of the situation. I'm gonna share this. So this guy, me and him was talking, and my grandson, I have 3 grandkids, y'all, by the way. For all y'all viewers, I have 3 grandchildren.
Oh,
my oldest grandson is 7. His name Alex. I have a granddaughter 2. Her name Yara, and I have a grandson Josiah. He's 3 months.
Okay.
However, the gentleman came over, and he was on the porch, and kids can feel when something's right.
Come on, you better know it.
Listen, I was on the porch because if you ain't right, you ain't getting past the porch with Alex. My baby. Listen, Alex, we was gonna go in my house and watch a movie or something. Listen, Alex stood by my front door. He looked at me and he said, "Hi." He folded his arms just like this.
See?
And did not move.
Who are you?
Who are you?
Who are you?
I don't him being like that. But let me tell you, in that process, it shook something up in the man's spirit to where he had to leave.
There you go.
What? I told you what happened. and I'm gonna be transparent because, like I said, I'm an open book and I don't keep no secrets. It is what it is.
Right.
I found out he was married.
See what I'm saying? Always. Always.
Lord.
Mm.
Had to get a slip on that one.
And my grandson, he felt it. He knew, he knew exactly what.
He probably knew something was wrong.
Yes, he did.
He knew something was wrong. And it was just what, kids will lead you, protect you. And absolute blessing. So we need to pay attention to these babies instead of telling them to shut up.
Right.
Yes, pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to be careful.
Have real dialogue. One thing that I learned.
That's it, Patricia.
When I was a kid, no one ever explained to me what was going on around me in regards to the traumatic things that were happening. And I had a very violent and chaotic upbringing. But no one explained, even just in my family, like my cousins and aunts and things, no one explained anything. So I always felt out of the loop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if a tragedy happened, no one told me how it happened, when it happened, who it happened to.
Right.
Nothing. So I was always in these blinders. If I knew something, it's because I overheard somebody talking.
That was me too.
See? And my mom, because we were in a domestic violence situation, she never really shared her emotions with me. Mm-hmm. And people say, "Oh, you put too much on kids." And dude, I'm already there.
Right, we right here.
What you Hello? I'm experiencing these things with you.
Yes.
And so what I learned from that was you better talk to your kids about how you feel. Ask them questions. So when I would come home from work, like you said, Miss Latanya, you said you sit in your car for a minute. I would sit there too and just decompress. Hold on, let me just get right. Let me get right. Mm-hmm. I was the kids in the house. Y'all go ahead in the house. I'm good. Go ahead. Go. All of you. And just sit there for a hot second. But then they would come and say, "Are you okay? You look sad, mommy." And I say, "Yeah, I'm sad because XYZ happened.
Mm-hmm. Right.
This happened." And of course, you say it in kids' terms. You're not putting the problems on them. They know something's wrong. Yes. Mm-hmm. And you keep them out of the loop. All it does is create an atmosphere of distrust.
Yes, it does.
And it doesn't teach them how you solve problems. That's false. Mm-hmm. It's a whole false facade that you the strongest person. I showed the kids I was vulnerable. They somehow still got the impression I was strong. I was like, I don't know who y'all talking about. But I'm not. I was like, I'm vulnerable. I cry. I break down. I have my limits. There are times when I can't be mommy. Wow. I'm gonna need y'all to go sit in that room, watch this TV.
And
because
that's good.
Because I can't do it today. I can't cook dinner. I can't because I was a single mom.
And that's honest discussion. That's an honest discussion with your children that you are a human. You're not a robot. You're not perfect.
Right.
You are a human being.
And I might add this too. For anyone that's out there that's looking or will be watching this, just know if you have more than one child, your oldest child or your only child goes through everything that you go through
in
a relationship.
Say it again. My son just told me that today.
And they remember everything.
Everything.
I sure do.
Everything.
So that was me. And the thing about it is, and I'm gonna say this, and I said this once before, and it's gonna sound crazy when it comes out. In the beginning, when a child is brought here, you know who their God is? Their mama.
Yeah, it is.
They don't know God as we know. They know how they got here is mama. Their 100% source is mama.
Yes.
So there is a bond. There is a connection that is so strong.
Right.
And the child just wants mama to be okay, because if mama is okay, that means I'm okay. When mama becomes unraveled, I'm scared.
Right.
But if you have a conversation with them, like you just said, Patricia, here's what happened. I don't have the money right now to get this. And we may have to move. So I want you to go pack your clothing. We're going to be okay. We're going to Auntie So-and-so's.
Yep.
But I would go over to my cousin's house and come back to a different house.
See what I'm saying?
And be like, what?
Okay.
Did we move? Y'all didn't tell me we was moving? And that happens several times, y'all. You go over to your aunt's house, and when you get picked up, you land at another address with your boxes in a room, and you couldn't just say we moving.
And it's something else on my heart about childhood trauma.
Because
we're gonna talk about this.
Yeah,
go ahead now. Go ahead.
I'm finna upset some people. I love y'all though.
Let me get my water.
Let me get my pop. Hold up.
Oh, hold on. Let me fix this.
Let me pour this real fast because it's about to get real. Let me open this big
take
old
your sip, Patricia. Take your sip.
I'm taking this.
Brothers. Sip. Okay, let me let you take your sip because I don't want you choking on your water.
I appreciate that.
Come on here, Latanya Peterson.
Brothers, I love y'all. When
y'all talk to the brothers.
This for our sisters too. We have some wonderful fathers. So y'all fathers don't take this the wrong way. Sisters. I'm gonna tell y'all this too. Y'all cannot keep over conversating y'all children for something the dads can't do, and those kids turning out like demon seeds. Hold on, I'm not finished. It's just starting there.
She says chapter 1.
Chapter 1, verse 1.
Verse 2.
Come on.
You have to take responsibility for being the mother. We are mothers. We cannot be their father.
We cannot.
We can only do the best that we can.
Yes. Say that.
That's verse 3.
Come
Stop
on.
bad mouthing their dad. When y'all mad at him, even if he ain't no good, you knew he wasn't no good when you chose to lay down with him.
Toast to that.
So if he ain't no good, still speak good about him. Let them children grow up to find out if he ain't no good.
Or don't say nothing.
But still encourage them to respect their fathers.
Right.
Now, I couldn't speak good about their father, but I didn't say anything. If they ask me a question,
if you can't say nothing good, just remain quiet.
Thank you.
That's admirable.
Hush.
That's right.
Just
because I'm gonna tell
you
what it does to a child.
It's turn them against you.
It pits them against the other parent, but it also makes them wonder. You got all these bad things to say about him. What about some of the things that you didn't did?
Mm-hmm. And you know what? You know what it does? What my kids have expressed to me. I never did it, but they're good at articulating kind of what it might feel like because they see it happening to their friends.
Mm-hmm.
They say it pits them against themselves.
Oh,
because they're half of each of you.
That is so true, Patricia.
That must mean I'm bad.
That is a very good point.
And they said, you've split me in half if you did that.
So now I have inner conflict.
And I hate myself.
Oh,
yeah, because you told me to hate my father.
Ooh, that's traumatic right there.
I almost forgot about that. That causes a lot of childhood trauma too.
Yes, ma'am.
And you know what? I'm gonna say this again, Mama and Daddy. I love y'all if y'all watching because they probably is. And this ain't no shots towards y'all. This is actually a good thing. What I'm finna say.
Oh,
my mama and my daddy. They don't think I was listening as a child. I was listening to y'all. I probably wasn't supposed to be, but I was. I was the nosy child. They couldn't stand each other.
Oh,
but I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna say it like this.
Ooh, you in my house now, girl. You in my house now.
When it came to raising me, they didn't miss a beat to this day. And I'm 40 years old. And if they wasn't friends, they friends now. But when it came to raising me, there was unity in raising a child. I respect that about the both of them. So big props out to my parents.
Yes,
and the parents.
Absolutely,
that's amazing.
But you bring up a good point because here I am, in year 4 of a marriage. Okay, first and only marriage in the name of Jesus.
Amen.
So depending on the dynamic in your home between mom and dad, my stepfather, my second stepfather, who's now deceased, was really a father to me. But unfortunately, it was very tumultuous between the two of them, my mom. I know he loved her. He called her his queen. Every card had to my queen. Everything he did was about my mother. And I'm not sure if she knew how to handle that kind of love. And I'm on the outside looking, I'm not her, but it came across very harsh. It was always a battle. And for one, finances was a very big battle, because when you marry a man that already has multiple children, small children, child support is that check gonna be negative $18.37. Negative $15.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So here we are in a home where money was always an issue, because the mothers figure, oh, you married now, I want to raise the child support. So it was a constant battle about money, about can his kids come over, or his children don't get along with my mom. And I'm like, I want us to be a happy family. I got, step brothers and sisters. And eventually my parents had a child together who is my actual sister. Okay. So, but when you are in a home where there's no harmony, now they took care of me. I will say I had food, I had shelter, I got to school, I got an education. But when it came to their dynamic, that put a mark on me. I didn't know it until when? Until I got my own husband.
Yeah.
Who I love dearly. But I have found myself having to apologize profusely, because I don't know what it was like to have, peace, in terms of the marriage in the home. I don't know what that looked like. So when it came to us having conversations and just trying to, make things happen, I found myself aggressive. Yeah. Just, what do you mean? I found myself being the aggressor, because my mother wore the pants. When I tell you, that woman ran the house. But here's the other part of it. My stepfather allowed it. He took a back seat to my mother, which made her go even harder. So it's a balance. I would have, at some point, he did tell me, one day I'm going to stand up to your mama. I said, well, let me know so I can close the windows and you're going to get, this is going to be World War X, and you might even cause the rapture to come up through here early. I don't want no parts of that. If you go over there if you want. It was nice knowing you, and may you rest in peace.
Oh, no. And we are a matriarchal society. I think that as Black folks, we tend to forget we are, and it's not our fault. It's first of all, we don't come from the United States. Okay, let's start there. We're not from here. And also, when we got here, our men were taken from us.
Wow, Patricia.
What choice did we have? And still to this day, where are our men? They're taken from us.
Wow.
There's too much. We're a matriarchal society. So it's not always like people get too caught up on that, who's in charge or who's this. Well, we kind of have to be. I hated that when I was married. I hated being quote unquote in charge. Okay. I wanted to take a back seat. I was done, because I've been in charge of a lot of grown up things since I was a kid.
Right.
I actually wanted to sit back and just chill for a minute. But this dude was, I don't even know, in some fantasy world. And I was like, well, if you're not going to do the stuff that it takes to
yes,
make the house run, I guess I'm going to have to do it. And yay, right? So we are a matriarchal society.
But could that have been, Patricia? Let's flip it on the other side. So when a man gets into a relationship or marriage and does not feel comfortable taking that place, can that be because of what they might have seen or didn't see, where they come from?
Well, he is Mexican.
Okay.
So he's very patriarchal.
Okay.
And unfortunately, we were young.
Okay.
And neither of us had the skills to be married.
See,
neither of us.
Huge right there.
And we both came from trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was throwing that patriarchal stuff at me, and I'm matriarchal.
Okay.
Even though my mom was in a DV relationship, let me clarify that she fought back.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that made her better than anybody else, but I'm trying to tell you, this is a Black one, Al Grits Green.
Ooh, right? Not the high grits. Not the high grits.
I'm just letting you know that she's, till she passed away last year, that's a scary woman.
Okay.
I'm still scared that she ain't even here right now.
Right, right.
Hold up. I'm playing. Because she's a scary woman. So I had a very strong matriarchal upbringing, even with all the DV situations, and he had a very strong patriarchal. So it was clash.
Right.
And I'm like, if you want to take on that patriarchal role, show me.
Right.
But neither one of us had this communication skills. It was just a whole disaster to begin with. So I think it was.
That's a good point too. When we're talking about the results of childhood trauma and how it affects us as adults, and you may not know how it affected you until you get married. Until you say, and how to do this again? Because I used to hate when people say, "What love have to do with it?"
Exactly.
But now I understand, because you can be in love head over heels, but if you don't have the tools to mesh your lives together and coexist in a healthy way, then you kind of end up in trouble in some instances, because you don't know what a healthy communicative marriage looks like. So you're coming in here with your baggage.
Yep. And you know what I like? Some pastors say this, and I don't like much of what pastors talk about when they talk about marriage, unfortunately, but
I get that.
I'm sorry. Because
that's real talk.
It tends to be a little misogynistic and backwards.
Okay.
But in this case, they say most people aren't in love; they're in lust when they first meet.
Woo!
That's scientific. I was in lust. I wasn't in love.
Let me drink.
This
today.
It was cute. It was lust, and I tell my kids.
And I didn't want to go to hell having premarital sex.
I had a whole baby, okay, like before we were married, a whole baby. And the problem with that is you don't even date long enough to know each other. Like get to know somebody, because and see, I'm very picky. I know now I'm very picky, and I don't call it selfish. I'm a Taurus, darn it.
Me too.
Girl, and I only got so much patience for people in general.
Okay.
Let alone somebody in my house. Are you serious? I don't share. Let's start there. I love my space and my quiet time. And those are things I learned once I got divorced. I was like, well, what was I doing? And also, I don't like narcissists. And he is one.
Okay.
And I don't know if he came that way or if he became that way. Like, I don't understand what happened, but I know his actions afterwards showed me his true personality. And here's a plot twist for you. Here is a plot twist for you.
Okay.
So we have 5 kids together, he and I. Okay. And then he subsequently got married. That's a whole other thing. But and had another child.
Okay.
And it was so important to me to establish a relationship between my kids and that child. And the same thing for his mom, that me and his mother are best friends right now. Now, understand, she got divorced from him.
Okay.
Which tell them to shut up, Maria Cheyenne. She said, "Go away. Go ahead, baby girl." But I'm on my podcast doing fancy things. So anyway, we became like we're tight, best friends. And I mean, enemies. We were never enemies, but enemies unite against a common enemy or whatever. Like the enemy, is my friend, right? But our kids grew up together because we made a conscious choice. No matter what happens, they need to grow up together.
I admire that,
and they don't forget this dude.
I admire that
he wasn't
so
in their
much.
lives anyway.
Yes,
he decided to have a whole other life. So that's one of their childhood traumas right there. He decided to just, I'm gonna go make my own life in the same town. I live in a small town, so it's kind of hard to do that. But he did that, and the same thing to his other son. But that's another thing. Like, don't be mad at the other woman,
right,
or the other family, or the other kids.
You teaching today,
but we tend to do that. We tend to do that, though.
Yeah,
that's a good point,
because it's your base reaction. You have to learn how to mitigate those base reactions. If your immediate reaction, you got to gauge, is that anger, is that jealousy? And again, I'm a Taurus. Mine is usually anger. I go straight to
what's my motive?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then go back and examine that and be like, that's not even important. Like, why am I mad at her? What's she doing?
Right.
This dude did this.
Right.
He did this. And he did the same thing to her. So it's a pattern.
Right.
So
Right.
I mean, those are just some things to think about. Like, and you gotta see how you develop over time.
Yes.
That's why with this new dating, this new guy that I'm dating now, I'm proceeding with caution.
Come on, caution.
It's like a sign. Caution.
Come on, caution.
I mean, he nice. I told him, and don't laugh at me, but I'm a realist. I don't. That's
Come on with it. Come on with it.
I feel like I'm gonna laugh because she said it, not laugh.
I say I need to see you in 3 seasons: the good, the bad, and the ugly.
I love it. Yes.
I see you in this good, cute season.
Yes.
Where the bad and the ugly at?
Right.
Yes. And that's how you prevent certain trauma from happening.
And you know,
that's it.
And this guy, he was bold. He did the boldest move I know. But he a nice guy. Let me tell you what was so bold about him. He went to my daddy.
Okay, come on, sir.
Oh no, what?
Don't nobody go to my daddy. So this is gonna be a to be continued conversation. So
that's old school though.
But
nice.
You know what?
That's
but
nice.
I'm still like side eye.
That's old school respect.
That's okay. That is okay.
But I'm at this point where my youngest is 17, my oldest 25. And I've been single for so long, like you, Patricia.
Yeah, girl.
I like my own space. So getting back into the dating thing, I know what I like.
Right.
You know how some people early on in life and then figured it out. But I guess you can say I'm a late bloomer because my main focus in life was my kids.
Yes.
Now that my children are all, young adults and have their lives figured out. Now I know what I like. Now I'm just getting back on dating scene. Now I'm like, oh, really? Do I got time for this? And he ain't did nothing wrong, but I'm like, is this really what I want? But then again, and then I did this to him too. Women with more than one child. We always got one child that's more challenging than the other.
Oh.
I let him.
I ain't got but one, so I can't say amen to that.
I let him be my most challenging child first.
Oh, is that how it worked? Okay. But how long did you wait, though? Tell me that, Latanya. How long did you wait to introduce to either child? What was your range?
At least about 6 months.
Okay.
Oh wow, there you go.
That is a good thing to talk about because sometimes as women and we're dating and we have kids, we might do that too soon.
But,
true.
Hear me? It's still only a phone conversation, but not in the physical as of yet.
Okay. So a phone conversation first. That's smart.
We gotta graduate.
That's smart. I like that.
We only doing phone interviews right
now. Phone screens.
We doing phone screening. I did the interview. Now
that's smart. That's smart.
I love my parents and I value their opinion, especially my dad. My dad is my best friend. Okay. So, and quite naturally, a woman's dad is gonna be her first guy she dates.
Right.
It's supposed to set the standard for any guy she dates.
Yep.
And listen, when my dad called me, I'm like, hey, I really like him.
Oh,
my dad don't like nobody.
Oh,
I said, I was hold on. He ain't got no Facebook, no way. So I ain't even worried about that.
You're gonna get in trouble.
So when, and he know because I told him this too. When my dad called me, like, oh, I like him. I was hoping my dad said, oh no, I don't think he the one.
Oh, right. Oh,
but because I was so set in my ways and not really looking for it. Okay. But at the same time, I'm asking God to send me my mate. Maybe this is right. We just got to see where time is taking. This ain't gonna be no flyby overnight. This gonna be my husband. We don't know. It ain't even
That's smart.
But at the same time, this ain't gonna be no 10-year boyfriend courtship.
That's smart.
That is
we gonna be
yes, wise.
Like whatever, because we still throughout your kids in a relationship with you too. I come as a package deal. It's like having a 401k plan with me, baby.
And that's how we were when I was growing up, y'all. And you, Latanya, you saying some things that's making me have this mental reflection. I'm going back to my parents were divorced when I was about 2 or 3. So I don't remember life with dad in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But I do remember a period of time when my mom was dating. And because I was a small child, I remember being introduced to these young men and just not knowing, like, who is this?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Okay.
I'm like, okay, who and why do we have to take them home? Why he don't have no car? We girls. Why do you always gotta take? You know, it's the drummer, it's the guitarist, it's the elder at the church. Why we always got to be out late at 11 o'clock at night? And looking back on it, what kind of man would want a woman to do that?
Can I tell you why?
With a young child.
I have an answer. I have an answer, Latanya.
Come on with it.
I can talk about me.
Come on.
I'm 40. You know, I'm a little mature now. But back then, I just wanted to be seen with a man because everybody else had a man and a husband.
Ooh, well, come
you
on.
know, I was a little
That's it.
girl back then, but now I'm a grown woman and I know how to date with standards. It's a different thing.
Yes,
When
it is.
you step
Right.
to me, you have to step correctly.
Right.
Yes.
See, I know how to date. Back then, I was just doing whatever.
Yeah.
Now I can date and court with my clothes on.
Come on
Exactly.
now.
Exactly.
I
And
like
it's
that.
amazing how many men are intimidated by that because they're still looking for the wounded person.
Mm-hmm.
They're still looking for that person who's living inside that trauma
Mm-hmm.
and can't see the person who's healed. And so they want that person who just wants a man on their arm.
And you know, and
Yeah.
you're right when you say that, Patricia, because before I started dating this guy that I'm dating, you would be surprised at some weirdos how they used to talk to me because I'm a thick girl. I'm thick, but I'm cute with class.
Yes, you are. You're gorgeous.
Go ahead.
But you cannot step to me any kind of way.
No.
They will
And
try
you
to
know-
use that big girl thing.
Yeah, they will.
And the guy that I'm dating, he know any guy, and I would tell him like, it is not no shortage of guys in my inbox. It's who I choose to entertain.
Let them know, Tanya.
So be
Exactly.
careful and be lucky that I'm choosing to entertain you.
Right.
Right. And I don't need you. I don't need you.
I know who
Right.
I am as a person. I know who I am in the
Right.
eyes of God.
Mhm.
I know what I bring to the table. And all you saying, when you talk about you love me and you just somebody that I just met last week, you only telling me that you believe that my legs open very easy and they don't.
Exactly.
That's to
Say
love
it.
me.
And that's important to
Mhm.
even show your children
Mhm.
because growing up, and I think I might have even repeated this in my own dating life, the same way that, you know, the person that my mom was dating, they always lacked something. And
Yeah.
I think she was the fixer. I became the fixer.
Yeah.
The project coordinator. You want to pick the person up and create this. Oh, when I get through with you, and I'm gonna write your resume for you, help you find a job. I'm gonna pick you up, put you through detox, and and that comes from your childhood trauma because you feel as though just to have somebody, I will attach myself to whoever makes themselves available.
Mhm.
Not looking at standards per se, but you'll do. Okay, fine.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
And that's the trauma talking.
That is the trauma talking.
And once you can start, like, I hate that it gets to that it takes us to get to this age to realize when the trauma voice is talking, and when your regular voice is talking, because now it's getting to the point where I can start to actually realize, like, oh, that's the trauma.
Yeah,
I just said that.
I see it now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I didn't really see it then, but
No,
looking back,
not at all.
And you
Not
know
at
what?
all. But
And
like now, you'll be like, oh, that was trauma that made that decision.
And this is important too, lady, sister, whoever watching gonna be watching too. Ooh, they finna be mad at me again. I love y'all though.
Oh, let me get my drink.
Ooh, I'm finna say this. Ladies and sisters, I love y'all. I love y'all so much.
That's her disclaimer. That's her disclaimer.
Is my
She
disclaimer.
love
So y'all know it's coming.
It's that agape love. That's how
Come
much
on
I
now.
love y'all. But we as women, especially if you have a son, cousin, brother, or uncle, the way we conduct ourselves and raise our young men, we set the standard of how they treat their future girlfriends and wives.
That's true, Latanya.
Yes, it is.
Speak it tonight.
Yes, it is.
That is very true.
And you got to remind them. I have 4, and I need
I'm
to
right
pull.
behind you with 3. I'm right behind you with 3.
You're right. And don't you have to pull them aside every once in a while? Like, listen, look. What the heck? I'm trying not to cuss. Like, what you doing? Because I didn't teach you that. That's not how you were raised, and you definitely didn't see nobody doing that.
Right.
Because I hope I was careful about their circle.
Right.
Because their dad wasn't in their lives, I put role models around them.
Absolutely.
That were just like, decent people. And I'm like, where'd you get that example from? Who taught you that? Like, what? You just went right towards the most extreme, ridiculous example and chose that to be your life. Like, what you doing?
Wow.
And every once in a while, you got to revisit that. Especially, I mean, I don't want to stereotype, but like girls and boys, just hormones. It's all hormones, and they're reacting on those hormones. And you got to have them conversations like, look, I know this is what you're thinking, feeling, whatever. But
when you're raising
you don't have
them,
to act on everything you feeling.
When you're raising your child, even though yes, we as parents have experienced a certain amount of trauma, our love for our children, we want them to be productive in their relationships. So we need to have some of these really sensitive conversations, because I want my daughter to, when she's at the dating age, I want to create a surrounding where she can pull from and say, this is what I want my mate to look like.
Yeah.
And that doesn't always happen. That's why I try to avoid having, arguments and stuff, in front of the child. But sometimes a child has to know marriage isn't easy.
Right.
It's
it
not
has its flaws.
There's 2 people that are combining their whole lives after being single for, and I didn't get married until I was 40, 41, 42, so all these years of being single and just being me and her, and then this person comes into her world. I want to create an atmosphere where she can say, okay, I see how this is going to be, and I want her to make good choices when it comes to who she dates. And I don't want her to be like me and say, okay, you'll do, you know how you have HUD houses and you got to put all this sweat equity because it's nothing but a frame, and you got to put the siding on. It's too much. Sometimes it can be too much, y'all. I'm not saying a person should be perfect, but there should be some substance to them. And
they better be doggone near perfect. They dating my child.
We can't change them. And we as women, we think we're supposed to be the ones that miraculously turn them into these Prince Charmings, and that's not how life works, ladies.
Right. I hope I instilled, at least in my daughter, boys are different, but in her, that if they can't treat you at least better than what we treated you, they don't deserve you. And that means spoiled. We gave you everything. So if they can't do that, leave. If they talk to you any kind of way, because I don't allow her brothers to talk to her any kind of way. So if they talking to you any kind of way, acting crazy, first of all, go get your brothers. She got 5.
Oh, and she well protected.
And find me. Okay, because I'm not that person. Now I'll catch a case. So understand, you can always find me. I don't care. Don't be embarrassed.
And that goes for young men too. We don't want our young males dealing with any old kind of girl either.
And I was just going to say that.
Oh yeah, I can speak on that. And now I'm gonna tell you a night and day situation real quick. My oldest son, he have this wonderful, beautiful daughter in love. I love her as if she was my daughter too. They have their family, my grandkids.
That's beautiful.
Yes. But let's flip over to the night. Then I got the night one. You know, you got my son who's 19.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. There we go.
He had this disrespectful,
I feel
hideous,
I feel
misled little girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, who her mama wasn't raised and obviously had a lot of trauma, still got a lot of trauma, and just full of drama.
Yeah.
Where this was a few months ago, where he was stabbed by this little girl.
Jesus.
And because she was so crazy, ended up in jail because she lied and said he tore up her house and did
Oh,
wow.
But he ended up getting out. The charges were dropped. And now we had to get a restraining order against this 19-year-old little girl.
Wow.
This is what happened when kids, trauma is passed down from mama.
It's passed down.
Generational trauma being passed and not being kids. Now,
story time.
This is the night. But listen,
it's passed down.
So when we talk about children, they can be raised by the same parents, but then
you got 4 different people.
Yes,
right.
You got 4 different people, and I have 5 different ones. I have a whole story to go right along with what you said. You're gonna be like, "Are we cousins?" Like,
I told we is This my cousin Latanya. We don't
You might want to take your sip right now. And I'm pretty sure I can share this without telling you a whole bunch of details because I put it was on Facebook because my life is as mini blogged on Facebook. But one of my sons makes questionable. They all make questionable decisions, but he made one in terms of women. Now I gave them all the talk. These are young men of color. So I gave them to talk about if you date a person who's not of color, understand they hold a position of power and privilege. And they can say at any time you raped them, hit them, did this, did that, whatever. And in the town we live in, you're going to jail.
Okay.
We're in a white town. Don't play with these girls. And I didn't say you couldn't date them. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
But understand the power differential in that relationship. She will always have the legal upper hand. Understand that. And I'm not saying DV victims are that way because I worked in the shelter. I understand it can work either way. But we live in America and we see how many men of color get shot.
Yes.
Because somebody called the cops and it was a miss whatever and they just shot. Okay?
Yes.
So I always gave them that talk. Be careful. Be careful. Be careful. Be careful.
Yes.
Yes. Date who you love. Obviously I did, right?
Right.
But watch yourself.
Yes.
Also, well, so I'll just go to the story. I told them too, just be careful where you at when you choose these women. And I'm about to get all kind of cliche. Don't go to the shadiest house with the most ratchet people.
Right.
And find the most ratchet person you can find.
Alley cats.
Yeah. And you know what I'm saying. I ain't saying nothing about income level. I'm not saying anything about education level. That has 100% nothing to do with it. I'm talking about people who weren't raised right, who are living in drug addiction, who have too many traumas for them to deal with. And my family is a caretaker family. They like to choose people who are just, and I do too. We choose people who are really traumatized to be our friends and our partners in life. And so that's what one of my sons did. And he happened to do it in one of the suburbs of Detroit. Now, we live in, a small town, not anywhere near Detroit necessarily. I'm from Detroit. And so, West Side.
East Side.
I'm from the D. But he chose a young lady who was from one of the suburbs. Happened to be a white girl. It's fine. I was cool with that. But then I don't know how they fell out or what happened. And I don't know. It was from one of the suburbs. That's a little sketch. I ain't even going to tell you which one, but it was sketch. Oh, and when I heard it, I was like, bruh, did you vet this girl? Did you? Because you're not from Wayne County. Okay. Right. You know what I'm saying? You don't know how they roll. You don't understand if you piss them off, what's to come.
Right.
It's not just her that's gonna roll up on you. it's her whole family.
Right.
You don't understand. It's a different mentality than when you have grown up, sweetie.
Yes.
And I said, you can't deal with that. You don't get it. Like, Anyway, he called me one night and he needed our help because it had gotten into a thing and there was nobody hit each other or anything, but she had some property that belonged to him. And y'all, I'm telling you, I'm a Taurus. Because he had made that decision. Me and my daughter and my best friend, who I told you about a second ago, had to roll up.
Oh,
roll up down to the suburbs. Yeah.
Well, we coming for our kids, especially the boys.
Okay. I rolled up. I'm knocking on the girl's door, like, blah, 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 get my son property back. I said, I'm crazy. I said, you don't understand me. I never said I ain't got no problems. I rolled deep for my kid, and they kept, of course, like I said, her family was calling and acting a fool. And they like pull up. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm pulled up.
Yeah,
I'm pulled up. Like, what you doing? But that's what I'm saying. Like, they choose people who've gone through some severe traumas.
Yes.
And you got to be careful to teach your kid, look, you don't have to be the counselor for everybody. You don't have to be in a relationship for the most.
Good point.
You can be at a distance and be there for people, but at some point cut that rope and let them get some help, because she was toxic. And even in friendships, I try to tell them, if that person,
you talking now,
because it's 5 of them, and I'm always giving this speech and giving it to myself too, because I have to be careful. I have to watch it. If that friendship is taking too much of your energy because it's so toxic,
cut it off.
Or at least, at the very least, put some distance.
Yes.
Put some distance. You can put a healthy distance and still be there.
Yeah.
But if it gets to be real wild, bye.
Right.
And
but that's a part of having those conversations, though, Patricia. And I didn't really get that. When you have a child and you deal with the formative years, this is where you teach them how to show up in relationships. Yeah. You don't have to solve everybody's problem.
You don't.
Everybody's mama. Because some people, if you don't teach them that, they will attach themselves to and say, I have to save you.
Yeah, I got to save them. No, you don't. There's a savior who will do that.
Exactly.
You are not the person. You are not the preacher, pastor, whatever. And guess what? They don't want to be saved. Let me say that again. They don't want to be saved.
Yes,
wow.
I have a child, and you already know it's that 19-year-old. 100%.
I'm reading the comment.
I'm trying to post the comment because they're coming in.
Yes.
My Coach B is in the comments.
Listen.
Yeah.
90%. 90% of one of my children's problems is because they choose to think they can save the world and they can't.
And I've been there. I've been there too.
But you know what? I'm going to say this too. And I've been criticized and almost ridiculed and stoned. But that's all right. Invite me back again, sister, once I say this.
What's she about to?
You said invite her back again. Dang, I didn't finish my cup of pop. I'm going to have to pour a whole nother one.
It's okay to allow your children to make mistakes.
Yes, sis. Oh my God.
It is
okay. It's so scary.
Because without mistakes, there's no room for growth.
Woo, girl.
Step back.
Girl.
Step back.
I ain't saying I'm gonna let my kids go out there and get hit by a Mack truck if I see a Mack truck coming. But it's okay for them to trip and fall with them not tying their shoestrings. Y'all follow me?
Wow. Wow. But the clincher is, as a parent, you let them make mistakes and you use that as a teachable moment. It's when a child doesn't have those conversations, you leave it up to their own very creative imagination. A part of child rearing is conversation and teaching and nurture. It's more than just, I paid for you to do this. I bought to get your hair done. I send you to school,
Right.
I give you food, and that's good stuff too. But there has to be some interaction and some nurture. We can't be so busy, so consumed by dating or jobs or whatever, that we're not teaching them these principles.
Exactly.
Active teaching.
And not only that, we teach them, we tell them to go to school. We tell them about healthy dating. We tell them about it, but we don't teach them the importance of it or what to do.
That part.
When they get into it, actually, when it happens. We have to teach them what to do during. We can tell them about it all day long. And not only that, we have to display it, because we have to use hand-on training with these babies. You know how they say, and let's be real, because I'm a realist.
Come on.
You know how I'm an old school. Y'all know how they used to use hooked on phonics?
Yep. Come on.
A lot of people in this day and age are visible learners. And that's how a lot of these kids learn. And what I'm saying is, our children learning too. They learning from our behavior.
We are.
And we display what they see. So if I'm running around with Willie Earl and them,
come on, Willie Earl.
Willie Earl and his brother and them too.
Come on.
What you think my daughter gonna do? And speaking of daughter, she just walked up in here too.
Yours too, huh?
Yeah. Listen, she gonna lay out with him, but she's 23, and Willie Earl Jr. ain't laying up in my house. Or little junior. But I'm gonna tell you this girl right here, she got one son, and she go to work every day, much as I do. And guess who raised her son? She do. I don't.
Come on. Woo,
and you're right. Whoever made that comment, take every advantage of every teachable moment.
Yeah, everything.
Everything is a teachable
But listen to this though. You hit a little nerve there. When we are raising our children, okay?
Yep.
I want to talk about specifically the situations where we put them off on our parents.
Uh-huh.
The reason why I was so close to my grandmother is because that was where my nurture came from.
Right.
So you can't get jealous when your child bonds with their grandmother if you always dropping them off over there.
Yeah,
that's trauma too.
Yeah. You know what? I gotta admit, and I hope you're watching. Let me give a shout out to my mama. But hey, mama. I gotta say, and this is the one time that I can acknowledge her by her name. Mom, please don't be mad at me. Muriel Hughes. I don't never say her name because that's out of respect for my mama. But Muriel Hughes, she didn't play that dropping your kids off. And I thank her on today, even at 14, because I chose to be grown. I raised my children the best I know how, but she didn't play that. Oh, you're going to drop them off. So my children, when they say, like, when they cling, they love their grandparents because they know them. But when I say these kids are at my hip, you can really tell I breastfed my kids because they. Let's talk about it. But for real though, my children in the reality is I'm all they know. Yeah. With the exception of my mom and my dad.
Right. Yes.
I'm all they know.
Yeah. But what happens is, going back to my upbringing, my mother's second husband, the story I got was that the apartment building didn't allow children.
Oh, wow.
Okay? That's the story I got as a kid. So I didn't have a reason to not believe it, because who am I? When I couldn't go online and Google it. You know, Willow Run, do they allow kids? I mean, it was what it was. So when I had to live with my grandmother, in my mind it was, I can't live there. But I'm thinking to myself, what kind of apartment would tell you? Now I can see pets, but kids. So here I am, basically being raised by my grandmother, who I loved dearly.
Yeah.
But the consequence of that is, now I see you've placed this man above me. So now I don't trust you like that.
Right.
Because you decided the most important thing in your life was cohabitating and marrying this strange man who eventually was the molester.
Wow.
So when I did finally get to move into the house that they got, he took advantage of when she was at work. And then what's worse than that is that she didn't believe it.
Oh,
so yeah,
wow.
that's the person who shows up in a relationship that doesn't have trust for people.
Yes. Yes.
It started out as a kid. How are we supposed to have our children learn what trust is or learn how to tell when something happens if you tell it and you're not believed?
And that's important that we say out loud. Most children who are molested are telling the truth.
I believe that.
I'm going to say that. I won't say all, because there are very few exceptions, though.
Okay.
Very few exceptions where a kid has lied about that. But most children, and also parents, need to understand that how prevalent it is. And it's not going to be a stranger. This is what we as a Black community need to understand in our families, because we as a culture kept that secret.
Yes.
All of our families have the molester. I don't know one family of friends who I have who doesn't have a molester in their family, a serial molester.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Now I can talk about this. We, in my family, it's a couple. And LaTanya, no, I just called out one.
She called him out. She called him by his government name.
Good job, sis.
I called him out by his name. I post a picture, screenshot. One thing I'm not
nice.
I see
the
evidence, everything. One thing about me, I'm gonna show you hardcore facts. It's enough is enough. That was just one. It's gonna be some more. But I gotta get the proof hardcore, because like I said, people are visual learners and they only take the things they see. So once they see it, maybe it open up their eyes to expose the truth, because their mouth been silent enough. But you know, my daughter been through some trauma, and I can speak about it because I had a lot of people in my family that I had to cut off because they tried to say my daughter was a liar.
Wow.
I'm gonna say this because hell was in the Bible. I will go through hell and hot water about mine.
Me too.
And understand this. It divided me with 90% of my family. But you know what? At the end of the day, I stood flat foot and bold.
Yep.
And I stood behind my daughter.
Yep.
And I made sure the little pedophile pervert was prosecuted to the fullest.
That's it right there.
He's still behind bars. And I still get to side. And I asked them, did they need for some prophetic healing? Because I'm still standing on what I believe in.
I'm gonna call them
out.
I'm telling you.
Because enough is enough. Because back in the day, don't tell nobody that Uncle James done touched you. Don't do this right now. Yeah. Y'all, you know what? This critical conversation. You know what? This critical conversation. Didn't I tell y'all? I'm not holding back.
And that person still. What used to bother me is that person still at all the family functions. Now they know. They know.
They send up patronizing this man too.
Still at all the family functions, all around all the kids. Deacons in the church.
No. I got one better than you. I got one better for you.
What you got?
I'm talk about my aunties too. How about your husband, your man is a pedophile?
There it is.
And he didn't touch your daughter, and you still with this man to this day.
There we go.
Now you in my life.
There it is right there. And call these fools out. Send them to jail. Please. Send them to jail.
Yep. And you know what? And I will. And I won't stop until that happens. Because why? Because I'm an advocate for every child that don't have a voice, that wants to speak, but always silent because of their family too busy trying to cover it up. Because they so used to being prideful. Or, let's keep this in between a family. No, we ain't keeping this in between no family.
No. And my answer to that, when they said that, I said, did you kill him?
Oh, hold on.
I said that.
And let's call out the little perverts that's women too, because we got some sick women
Yeah.
in these families.
Oh, yes.
That's what a lot of people don't expose to. Playing
Yes.
with these old boys, they private areas and stuff, and they don't get exposed to.
Thank
Talking
you.
about, are you trying to touch on him to make his wee bigger? No, you sick sis.
And we gotta stop saying stuff like that. We say the most ignorance, backwards things that pass on from generation to generation to generation.
And it needs to stop.
It needs to stop because you know
and guess what?
For that, I mean, there's a word for that.
And it's gonna stop.
Incest.
Right. And wonder why it's so many mental retardation going on in this world.
Like y'all,
anxiety, depression, PTSD, name it.
Yeah, you wonder why you sisters and brother, but that's your granddaddy, uncle, cousin.
My God.
And we sexualize our kids so early in our families. Oh, look at her butt so big. What are you doing?
You know what?
Baby.
Listen, I got one better than this. I know I'm finna get in trouble for this, but I don't even care.
It's all right. We're gonna be in trouble with you.
You ready to take a sip? Y'all
going down together, girl.
Y'all want to take a sip for this? Y'all might want to take a sip.
Let me get my sip.
I left mine in the kitchen. I'm good.
This one's sick. One of my stepmamas per se. This is a bad habit. She said she always labelizing children as sexy or
yes.
Or,
yes.
What is that?
No, I've heard that too. You right.
Or I got this,
yes.
Or I got this uncle. I got this uncle that allowed this great uncle that always want the nephews and nieces to sit on his lap and always talk about how big they ain't got and want them to come spend the night. Nah, bro.
No.
Don't sit on nobody lap.
Listen, you can't even come and spend the night on you can't even come and visit. Listen, let me tell you this. Since I've been on my own in my own house since I was 16, I'm 40 now. And I can tell you, 85% of my family have never been to my house.
It's all right.
85.
My Lord.
Don't that speak volumes?
I hear you, Kia. I saw your comment. I feel you. I feel that. I feel that, Kia. Ooh-wee. But this is the thing, because I'm looking at my own life, and the issue becomes the people who have the access to our children
right there
are the people who are able to do this. If you monitor the access, because you can't assume that everybody's intentions are pure. You can't make any assumptions anymore. No. You can't. And if you see your child's behavior changing, don't just say they bad. Don't just send them away to some juvenile delinquent school. You need to find out what could possibly be happening to them that they can't articulate to you because they're kids.
Right. Exactly.
They don't want to process that like an adult. I barely can process it, and I'm almost 50.
Right.
And another thing we have to stop doing, mothers.
Talk to him, sis.
Ooh.
Talk to him.
Oh, this is kind of hurting myself, but I gotta say it. Cause we gotta stop telling our kids, even though we don't like it. Stop telling our girls, don't bring home no babies, because you might don't know how they got that baby.
Ooh. Wow.
Ooh.
That's a wow. You on point with that, sis. You're right.
You don't know.
You don't know.
And with that
has happened to people. That has happened to young people. And when you look at how the religious community has responded to that going back in the day, they don't care how you got pregnant. You wrong, and you're going to get put out the church. We don't care how you get there.
You want me to bring it home? You ready for me to bring it home?
Woo! I ain't got much water left, girl. Hurry up.
Let me bring it home to you.
Jesus.
Ooh, let me bring it home. Let me give it this closure. I love my church family and I love my church. But there is a but. And because I ain't here, I'm gonna give y'all the but first before I tell y'all.
Okay.
Just know that we serving God and not the people at the church. That's why
Come
we
on
still
now.
Right there.
Very
Right
good
there.
point. Very good point, sis.
So let me just
Yes,
say
it
that
is.
Very good point.
when my daughter became pregnant, she was sat down.
Yeah. Oh,
My God.
Their mouth,
There it is.
their mouth ran like water run, not knowing of the situation. And not that it was any of their situation. Instead of embracing her, praying for her, seeing what she needs.
See that part
right there.
They tried to kill her character.
See,
but the same young lady that they tried to kill graduated on time.
Yes.
We her son at her graduation.
Come on.
Graduated from college on time. Got a good job on time. And
come on.
That little chocolate little boy. That grandson of mine.
Come on.
He's thriving and doing well in school. And you know why? Because she had a praying grandmother.
Yes, God.
She had a praying mother. And she had people that were still in the church that surrounded her in love.
Right.
So much as the busybodies tried to kill her, we still surrounded her in love. But that just goes to show you, people in the church,
I hear you.
Don't hate me because I am a believer and I am a woman of God. But we as people of God, we have to be careful when we judge people.
Oh, we better be. We better be.
And we wonder why our young people don't go to church.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Patricia.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We wonder why. Why would you go?
Listen.
And that could be a part of church hurt.
Yeah, we ain't gonna talk about church hurt.
That could be a part of someone's church hurt.
Yeah,
hurt me.
And that's critical conversation because when
next week,
we gonna have to come back to that because we ain't gonna go there because I got a lot to say.
That's like 3 or 4 hours.
I'm telling you.
Listen, you gonna make
here's the thing, because we're gonna have to do this again because the religious spirit, that exists in the church, has held us captive from really being the community-based church that we should be.
Right there.
We have not really walked in the fullness of what I believe God intended the church to be, because we were so busy trying to make people feel ashamed.
Yes.
Because when you're pregnant, people can see your stomach, but they sinning too. I just
I can't see it. Where the daddy at?
And you know what? I'm gonna tell you like this. I'm gonna talk about it like this. Sins. They only talk about the sins that's visible. Let's talk about sins, about overeating, shopping, fornicating, adultery, all that type of stuff, lying, stealing, killing. And I ain't talking about shooting or murdering nobody, but the power of your tongue.
That's it, right there.
Let me throw this at you because I was thinking about this earlier, and let me make this very clear, unequivocally clear. I am a born again believer. I was raised in church, and I don't discount my upbringing at all. It made me who I am. But another form of trauma is having to go to church every time it opens, but your home life is different from when your family is in the church.
Right.
So how am I supposed to grow up understanding what true Christianity and discipleship means if when we go to church we one way, but then when we come home we're different?
And that's important too. I think in parenting in general, and like trauma and compartmentalizing your emotions and how you behave. So like people, I think just in my case, like I'm who I am in public and in private. You know,
and that's important. That's
if I'm gonna go off on the kids because they've done something ridiculous, it's gonna happen in the middle of the mire. It's gonna happen in church. It's going to happen wherever, because I can't switch it off, and I won't be fake. I'm not going to be an actor. I'm going to do me wherever I'm going to do it. If you don't like me, then you can, whatever, take a flying leap. I don't care.
Absolutely.
I don't care. And I've always been that way. I can't control, I'm going to turn this switch on and be the ultimate Christian. I know what the Bible says about being a Christian. Paul said I die daily.
Yes. That's the word.
And you have to, every single moment I'm repenting about something ridiculous I've done. And God, I'm sorry. Lord, I'm sorry. And so I don't understand how people can be one way. I see it, that they're one way in church and one way at home or whatever the case is. But no, shut up. You don't go to church, dog. Hush. Hush.
The dog said amen.
Like, amen. Amen.
Agreeing with you.
He said,
but you know, it happens a lot when your if your parents are in ministry. That's where it really gets tough, because when you go to church and your parents are a part of ministry and you see them operating within their ministry, but yet when you get home, that's not the same parent.
Yes.
And then you have, every time you go to church, they're saying, oh, I want you to meet, you got another spiritual sister, a spiritual brother. And I'm thinking, but what about your biologicals?
Mm-hmm.
How you so, you everybody's church mother, everybody's this, but when you get home, you're not that to the children that you gave birth to. And again, I love my family, but we're talking about trauma.
Right.
So you can't be so deep in the church that you running around town preaching and singing and praying heaven down, but you're not even in a good spot with your own children who you brought into this world.
Get your house
you don't want to be.
And
Tanya, I'm talking about that kind of trauma.
Tanya, you've seen it on my Facebook. Sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna have to take a step back and get my life in order. Like every once in a while, I'm like, I'm gonna take a step back, because for some reason I'll get off the path, or things will just get to be, because my anxiety won't handle if things get to be too much. I gotta take a step back and be like, oh, it's the same thing with church. Sometimes it's too much. You gotta take a step back from church and just be like, oh, because church is a building, it's a people. But sometimes God needs you by just you.
You're right.
You gotta work on you.
You know what? As being in ministry, woo, baby, and being in leadership. Woo,
come on,
baby.
Come on.
I am a walking target.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yeah.
And ain't nothing worse than your own kids calling you out.
Oh. Whoa.
And what I tell my kids, and what I tell everybody, not just my kids, my life is the same, whether I'm at work, whether I'm at home, whether I'm at church, period.
And that's what children need to see. Because consistency.
Because you know why? It takes too much time and energy to be all these different people. I ain't got time for that.
Right.
Gotta remember everything.
You got that right.
So what you see is what you get.
Hello.
Deal with it, or don't. Because I don't need you around. Like,
but what I encourage people to do is, if you see me doing something that's not of God, first thing you do is pray for me. P-R-A-Y. Don't pray on me. P-R-E-Y.
Right.
There's a difference.
Oh, now.
Come on.
Secondly, come to me in love.
Yes.
Because it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because you can kill somebody. Like I said, the tongue is the most dangerous.
I have literally said that. Yes.
Sharp.
Yep.
Very sharp.
And this is where it hurts. Church people can kill somebody.
Oh, yeah.
Now, and from the pulpit.
Yeah.
From the pulpit.
Yeah.
If that sermon wasn't divinely inspired and it's somebody's opinion, political stance, own trauma coming through, this is a big one, because I have had to. Sometimes people's traumas come through from the pulpit.
That's a good
and then
point.
Guess who the victims are? The entire congregation is the victim at that point. And
That's
I'm
a
talking
good
about
point.
I'm big on things like women and have been victimized in church. And by victimized, I don't necessarily mean sexually. I mean
Right.
being taught these misogynistic ideas about how we're inferior.
Mm-hmm.
And it's real slick, y'all. It's real slick how it happens. And you will fall into it. And next thing you know, you feel less than and you sitting in the house of God. How did that happen?
But we have to make sure we're not using church to try to raise our kids. Church is a part of our lives, but at the end of the day, as parents, we need to be teaching our children at home Bible-based principles and right from wrong. You can't just shove them in Sunday school, shove them in, in church, close the door, and don't teach them on your own. Like the school is not to raise your kids. You have to raise your kids. But people try to push their kids off on other people to get raised someplace else, and that's how they become traumatized.
Disclaimer. This is a freebie. Pastors, ministers, and teachers, I love y'all.
There she go again.
But please, if y'all don't know, and think about what you're thinking about when I say this.
Yes.
But please don't do this. Please don't use the pulpit for a boxing ring.
Oh, thank you.
Woo-wee.
Thank you.
And this ain't personal, but it's necessary. It has to be said.
It is. You're right.
And
you're right.
Church is a hospital.
It's supposed to be.
Supposed to be.
It's supposed to be. At the end of the day. You're right.
You're supposed to go home, be patched up. So the rest of that week, whether it's till Wednesday or to that next Sunday,
right?
You okay?
Yeah.
You gotta do your work, like you said, Johnny. You gotta do your work.
Even when you select a church home, you should keep your whole family in mind. I don't just want a church that makes me feel good. I want my husband, my daughter. I want an atmosphere of worship that's gonna feed my family. I want my family to be, spiritually fed in an environment, that we should be, and that's not toxic.
Can I say something?
Yeah, we got about 3 more minutes. Go ahead, sis.
Let me give it to y'all like this. Remember how I was talking to y'all about the children? We need to pay attention to the children. My children led me to my church.
Okay. My own children.
And I have been at my church going on 19 years in April.
Oh, wow.
My children would sneak out the house to go to the church. Let that sink in.
Wow.
What I'm telling y'all,
I was gonna say, that's awesome.
Parents, pay attention to these children.
Yeah.
Yes, please do. Please do.
And kids don't come with filters, so they really will tell you.
They sure don't.
They just say anything. So they come out telling you the truth. Listen to them and take it to heart. We get our feelings hurt by kids, and we be like, "No, you didn't." Like what you just said.
Yes.
But they're telling you they're not trying to hurt your feelings. They're just telling you, like, "Hey, this is what it is."
Right.
I've heard so many little kids say to mom, "You were mean the other day. You were mean. You yelled at me and it hurt my feelings." I'm like, that child just literally expressed to you how they feel. You should be thankful.
How they feel. I'm bad at that. I have to get better at listening to my own daughter and not taking things so personally. And it's not easy, y'all. I'm honest. It's not. But when a child tells you what their heart is saying, even if it comes out a little bit passionate, you really need to listen.
Yeah, you do.
It sting a little bit. That's what happened. It
stings.
Don't it like a It stings.
But it's necessary. I would rather her tell me and it sting than to run behind somebody else who don't love her and doesn't have her best interest and tell it to them.
Or go have their little knucklehead friends give them stupid advice.
See that part?
My mama did this. Well, you should smoke this and you'll feel better.
See? So I want her to be able to come to me with that, but I have to learn how to be receptive and take my personal feelings, away from it and don't discount, what she's feeling.
You know what a good answer is? Sometimes particularly I think that 16 to 25 age, when that's for me, that's the most challenging. Because
yes,
they're learning. That's that learning curve, you know.
I would agree.
That perfect.
I would agree.
That perfect answer for me has always been, "You right."
Yeah.
Whether I believe it or not, you right, and not condescendingly, just like, okay, you right, because that gives me a chance to step back and think about it.
I gotta have y'all back. We are out of time, but I want to thank y'all. So this 2 hours flew by.
Excuse my background. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I want to thank my sisters, Latanya and Patricia. I love y'all. We gotta have you all back. You will have a standing invitation. I also want to say I want to also thank our viewing audience. Thank you for chiming in. Thank you for the comments. Thank you so much. And be sure to share the video. Be sure to like, share, and follow Trailblazers Radio. I also want to say at the end of my show last week, I gave a number if someone was in crisis.
Yes.
And my coach mentioned that I probably should give the number for the National Suicide Prevention. Is now 988. Only 3 numbers that you can dial if you feel you are at a place. It can be due to childhood trauma or any kind of trauma. If you ever get in that desolate place where you feel as though your life is not worth living, we're here to tell you it is. But in case we're nowhere near you, could you please pick up the phone and dial 988 so that you can get some immediate help? And I also want to say this season, y'all, we're going into the holiday and there is seasonal affective disorders. There are people who deal with a deep depression around the holiday time. I'm going to be praying for you all. And I'm included in that because even though I have my family, I did lose my stepdad and my uncle, but I still have living family. But sometimes people grieve people who are living because the relationship isn't there. So don't discount people. Well, your mama alive, your daddy alive, you should be all right. You don't know what kind of issues go on in people's families.
Yeah.
Do not make assumptions that because the person is living, that they're in right standing with that person. And holiday time means togetherness. So it could be depressing to some people that they don't have that mother or father that they can just call. They're alive, but they can't just pick up the phone because they're not in a good place with them. We need prayer too.
That's true.
We need prayer too. So I want to thank my girls. I love y'all. This has been an amazing time with you. Each time I do this, I feel a weight lifted because a lot of what I'm sharing, I have not shared before. But the whole objective of Critical Conversations is not just to talk about it, it's to get healed from it. And if you've ever told someone to just get over it, shame on you.
That's right.
Shame on you. We can't get over it, we can overcome it. 2 different things.
That's true.
We can overcome, but do not tell a person to just get over it because you don't know what it takes for a person who has anxiety, depression, PTSD. If you don't know that life, God bless you, and you better give God the best praise you can. That's not your life. But somebody else, that is their life. And they're Christian, and they're still dealing with some very real trauma. We are still healing. We're still on the healing and wholeness and wellness journey. So don't judge.
There you go.
Sanctified, Holy Ghost filled, and we know who God is, but there's some deep-rooted stuff that we haven't dealt with. So here I am at almost 50, finally dealing with my life. So I thank my 2 guests. We're going to have to do it again soon. I thank all of you all for watching. Please share, like, and replay my replay viewers. Thank you for chiming in. Keep on commenting. Thank you all. And I want to bid you all farewell and good night from Critical Conversations, Trailblazers Radio.
Thank you.
See you later.
Bye.